3 months before the wedding, I was in the inner chamber trying on my bridal gown. The embroiderer knelt at my feet, arranging the folds of my dress. Her hand suddenly stopped. "Mistress, I beg you to investigate the young master's background." I looked down at her. Liu Qingyang, the youngest embroiderer at the Yi family silk shop. She came 3 years ago, always meek and quiet. "Why should I listen to you? This servant is Master Shi's wife." I froze. He married into 2 families before. He absconded with their money, murdered for wealth. And now he has come after you, mistress. My mind thundered. Chen Shiyuan. My fiancé, that scholar who held an umbrella for me in the rain and copied Buddhist scriptures for me under the lamplight. That genteel gentleman who even spoke in soft, gentle tones. Which one am I? Liu Qingyang raised her head. "You are the 4th, mistress." I stared at her for a long time, so long that the sound of rain outside the window gradually thinned. Absurd, too absurd. I waved my hand to dismiss her and sat alone before the vanity, looking at that powdered face in the mirror. Chen Shiyuan's face surfaced, lean, fair, with gentle eyes and brows when he smiled. 2 years ago in late spring, I was caught in the rain while offering incense outside the city. He held his oiled paper umbrella over my head, getting himself soaked through. I learned later that he was a student at the academy, renting a place on the back street of the silk shop, passing by my door every day. He began writing me letters, not straightforward love poems, but excerpts from the Book of Songs. "Now that I have seen you, my lord, how can I not be joyful?" The handwriting was elegant and refined, the paper simple and tasteful, letter after letter. They filled half a box. My friend laughed at me. "A poor scholar, what is so good about him? But he was so wonderful. He knew I feared the cold. So when winter came, he sent me a hand warmer, knew I loved plums. So when spring arrived, he picked the freshest ones and sent them over. Even his widowed mother, after moving to Jingwan City, was thoughtful in everything, putting me first. Whenever she made something delicious or got some fresh novelty, she'd send it to me right away. Even when speaking to me, she always used a gentle, soft voice. After our families discussed the marriage, he sent seasonal gifts on every festival. Neither excessive nor meager, just right. I thought it was heaven's blessing. Looking back now, it seems more like a carefully woven net. My lady, young Master Shi and his mother are here to bring you chicken soup." The maid lifted the curtain, and Chen Shiyuan came in carrying a food box. His widowed mother followed behind him. "My lady, I've been simmering this chicken soup for 2 hours. Drink it while it is hot." As Chen Shiyuan spoke, he opened the food box, took the celadon bowl from the maid's hands, and ladled me a bowl of chicken soup. Mother Shi sat in her chair, her eyes and brows smiling. "Shiyuan pestered me all day, insisting on learning to make soup. He said his wife hasn't been looking well lately. He is worried about you." The old hen for the soup was picked out by him personally at the market early this morning. It is a free-range hen from a farm family. I said to send someone to deliver it, but he insisted I accompany him to bring it to you in person. The maid giggled cheerfully. "Young Master Chen treats the mistress so well." I looked up at him. Suddenly, I remembered Liu Qingyang's words. He married into 2 families and absconded with their money. Thinking of what Liu Qingyang said, I fell into deep thought. Is he treating me well, really just to swindle my family fortune? He came in carrying a celadon bowl, his sleeves neatly rolled up, revealing a slender wrist. His long, elegant fingers made even that ordinary bowl of chicken soup seem more refined. Bending down to ladle soup for me, he carefully skimmed off the layer of oil on top. He gently put the tenderest piece of meat into my bowl, then looked up at me, his eyes and brows full of tender affection. Other scholars prided themselves on their lofty status, viewing kitchen work as menial labor, never mind cooking themselves. They considered even a glance at the stove would soil those hands meant for holding the books of sages. But he was different. Seeing my poor complexion, he personally went to the dirty, chaotic poultry market to select an old hen. He personally cooked, enduring smoke and fire, spending 2 hours making chicken soup with his own hands and bringing it to me to drink. Is he really trying to swindle my family fortune? A trace of guilt welled up in my heart. Just now, I actually doubted him so easily because of a few words from an embroiderer. I really shouldn't have. While drinking the soup he made, I made up my mind to turn down Liu Qingyang tomorrow and continue with the wedding. But just then, Chen Shiyuan suddenly said to me somewhat apologetically, "My wife, I can't accompany you to pick out jewelry tomorrow. I need to visit a renowned teacher with my friends for guidance on my essays." My hand holding the soup spoon paused slightly. My heart skipped a beat, because the last thing Liu Qingyang said to me was, "My lady, tomorrow is my birthday." And Chen Shiyuan promised to go on an outing with me to the suburbs. Before I could speak, his widowed mother spoke first. "You child, seeking guidance from a renowned teacher on your essays is important business. How could Mingzhu hold it against you? Mingzhu runs the Yi family silk shop. Would she get angry with you over such a small matter as picking out jewelry?" Chen Shiyuan is a scholar who often attends poetry gatherings with his classmates and friends, and seeks guidance from renowned teachers on his essays. I never thought much of it before. The embroiderer just said he would accompany her on an outing to the suburbs tomorrow, and now he is canceling tomorrow's arrangement to pick out jewelry with me. Isn't this too much of a coincidence? My doubts grew heavier, but I didn't let it show on my face. I pulled the corners of my mouth slightly. "Studying is important. You go ahead." I put down my bowl and watched their mother and son's retreating figures, then withdrew my smile. "Xiaokui, call Wanger over." 2 days later, I met Liu Qingyang in a secluded tea house in the city. Today, she had changed into a blue cloth garment, her hair bun tied low, looking like a woman from an ordinary household. "Lady Yi," after exchanging greetings, she told me she was Chen Shiyuan's wife. After briefly introducing herself, she took out a stack of papers from an old wooden box beside her and pushed them in front of me. I looked down, and my blood instantly froze. They were letters, dozens of them. The handwriting was identical to the letters Chen Shiyuan had given me. I pulled out the love letter I had hidden in my sleeve to compare. The pen strokes and turns, even the habitual hook at the end of the character yuan, were exactly the same, not a bit different. But the recipients were Zhou family of Huzhou, Wang family of Huzhou. The dates were 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Liu Qingyang handed over a few more items. I first picked up a marriage certificate. The red paper had already yellowed. On it was written Chen Shiyuan, age 18, married into the Zhou family. Next to it were 2 fingerprints, his and the Zhou family's. I put down the marriage certificate, and underneath was pressed an IOU. The ink is fresher than the marriage certificate. Reading borrowed 50 taels of silver from the Zhou family to be used as travel expenses for studying in Jingguan City. 50 taels. For a small household like the Zhous, they probably had to sell their land to scrape that together. Flipping further, there is a pawn ticket. I recognized the seal of that pawn shop in Jingguan City. Just last month, Chen Shiyuan had someone pawn something there. What was pawned? A pair of gold bracelets, pawned for 30 taels of silver. The gold bracelets were part of Wang's dowry. At the very bottom is a contract written by Wang. It reads, "If I die, all family assets shall go to my husband Chen Shiyuan." Next to it is a prescription, a doctor's calming and qi-tonifying decoction. Liu Qingyang points to 2 of the ingredients and says in a low voice, "This is the tonic medicine he prescribed for Wang's father back then." 3 months later, the old man passed away. Liu Qingyang says in a low voice, "Wang had it worst, both parents dead, all family assets lost, and she herself died in childbirth too. Zhou is now struggling to get by with her child, still waiting for him to pass the exam and come back to bring her and the kid a good life." I clutch those papers, unconsciously clenching my fist. "Lady Yi." She looks up at me, tears in her eyes. "Surely you believe it now." I push those papers back, forcing a smile at the corner of my mouth. "Nowadays forgery skills are so advanced, who knows if these aren't fakes?" Liu Qingyang sighs. "Lady Yi, stop fooling me," she says, suddenly a hint of smile appearing in her eyes. "You clearly believed it. Let me guess, have you already sent someone to Huzhou?" She hit the mark. "Yesterday I had my trusted steward Wanger set off for Diqing County in Huzhou to investigate Chen Shiyuan's background." Liu Qingyang asked, "What did Chen Shiyuan tell the young mistress about his ancestral home, Diqing County, Huzhou?" She gave a scornful laugh. "Just as I thought. Have your people changed course to Anji County in Huzhou instead? That is where his real hometown is." I stared at her. She looked back at me, her gaze frank and open. "How do you know?" Liu Qingyang lowered her head, her voice soft. "Because this servant and he are both from Anji County, that Diqing County registration is fake." After leaving the tea house, I dispatched another trusted aide, Old He, to Jian County. I told him he must find the Zhou woman and her child. At dusk, I was looking at embroidery patterns in my sewing room when Nanny Liu lifted the curtain and came in, turning back to close the door tightly. When I first got in touch with Chen Shiyuan, he said the courtyard he was renting was too far from the academy, So I lent him one of my own residences to live in, and also lent him the servants who cleaned the place. Nanny Liu was one of the people in that residence, young mistress. She came close to me and lowered her voice. There is news from the Shi family side. I put down my embroidery frame. The nanny cleared her throat and imitated those two people's manner of speaking. First was Mother Shi's tone of hating that iron won't become steel. Son, did you go see that woman again yesterday? We finally made it to the wedding. Don't mess things up now. Chen Shiyuan replied to her. Mother, don't worry. The Yi family only has this one daughter. Yi Mingzhu has nearly fallen out with her clan elders just to marry me. How could she suspect me? The nanny said this, then raised her eyelids to peek at my expression. I didn't say anything, so she continued. The old woman asked again. Fallen out? Then will her family's silk shop still be given to her? Chen Shiyuan laughed. This old servant heard it clear as day. After Nanny Sun finished, she mimicked Chen Shiyuan's tone again. The Shen family only has this one daughter. If not to her, then to whom? Just those 3 storefronts her family has on the main street are worth more than our family could afford in several lifetimes. The nanny stopped there, my hand gripping the embroidery frame, knuckles turning white. After a long while, I asked, what else? The nanny hesitated for a moment, then spoke again, this time imitating Mother Shi's smug tone. My son really is something, making those women throw themselves at him one after another. 2 bird calls came from outside the window, just ordinary evening crows. I let go of the embroidery frame on which a half-finished twin lotus was embroidered, the stitches still crooked. I stared at it for a long while, then suddenly let out a laugh. Throw themselves, I softly repeated, one after another. I thought breaking off the engagement would settle everything, but after hearing all this, I changed my mind. It is too easy on him. I have to make him pay the price. A few days later, Chen Shiyuan came to the estate, as courtesy dictated, to deliver festival gifts. He still had that refined and gentle appearance. I came out, putting on a worried expression. Shiyuan, today I went to Wansong Tower to check on the banquet, and ran into Uncle the clan head. He said I was shameless for making the Yi family pay even for the banquet, practically throwing myself at you. He said I was disgracing the Yi family, and if I wanted to use Yi family money to marry you, I should get out of the Yi family, and he won't give me the silk shop either. Wansong Tower was the most prestigious restaurant in Jingwan City, where a wedding banquet cost at least 300 taels of silver. Chen Shiyuan's expression changed slightly, still forcing a smile. Mingzhu, don't be angry. Mother Shi's face changed slightly. That Yi family clan head. Really, the Yi family silk shop was built by your father. You're your father's only daughter. What right does he have to stop you from spending money? Besides, after you and Shiyuan get married, won't the Yi family assets all be yours anyway? Why distinguish between yours and mine? Wow, they're not even hiding their designs on my family fortune anymore. Right, we're all one family. Why don't you pay the banquet deposit? I took the opportunity. I won't use Yi family money for the wedding banquet, and show Uncle your sincerity. Use actual actions to tell him that I'm not shamelessly throwing myself at you. He froze. After a long while he said hesitantly, Mingzhu, you know, I interrupted him. You wouldn't be unwilling to pay this silver, would you? If that is the case, I won't be able to explain things to Uncle Clan Leader, and they might not give me the Yi family silk shop at all. How about we just call off our engagement? Upon hearing this, Chen Shiyuan became anxious. Don't, Mingzhu, I admire you as a person. I want to spend the rest of my life with you, not with a silk shop. Fine, this deposit. I'll pay it. When Mother Xia heard she had to pay herself, she frantically tugged at Chen Shiyuan's sleeve in alarm. Chen Shiyuan's skill level was indeed higher than Mother Xi's. He stopped her with just one look. Watching this mother and son go from high spirits when they entered to forced smiles now. I lowered my head to drink tea, hiding the cold smile at the corner of my mouth. Teal's deposit was just an appetizer. There are more surprises waiting for you, 2 days later. As I was flipping through the account books, Nanny Sun lifted the curtain and came in, coming back specially today. Naturally, there was something important to say. My lady. She leaned closer, lowering her voice. The Shi family mother and son. This old servant heard something incredible. I put down the account book. Nanny Sun cleared her throat and imitated those 2 people's tone. First was Mother Shi shouting, What did you say? Just for one wedding, you paid out 20 taels. That girl isn't afraid of shortening her lifespan. Chen Shiyuan replied to her. What can be done about it? The deposit for Wansong Tower has already been paid. We can't possibly get it back, can we? Forget it, the wedding is coming up soon anyway. Once we're married, at least half of her family's money will be mine. At this point, the mama paused, lifted her eyelids to peek at my expression. I didn't make a sound, so she continued to imitate. Mother Xia asked again. What about those 3 shops her family owns? And Shiyuan chuckled. The shops aren't going anywhere. In another 2 years, I'll find some excuse to take her to the estate to recuperate from illness. And then, Madam, they're not only after your wealth, they're planning to take your life too. The mama stopped speaking after saying this. My hand clutching the account book, my nails had dug into my flesh. Those 2 words, recuperate from illness. He said them so lightly, as if he were saying the weather's nice today, as if he were saying what is for dinner tonight. I suddenly recalled last winter when he came to deliver New Year's gifts, standing in the corridor, his nose tip red from the cold. Yet he still smiled as he pulled out a packet of hot chestnuts from his chest, saying, to warm Madam's hands. Back then I felt sorry for him and had the maid bring hot tea. He held the tea bowl, looked up at me, his eyes full of tender affection, so beneath all that tenderness, what was hidden were those 2 words, recuperate from illness. After a long moment I asked, is there more? Mama-san shook her head. That is all. Afterwards the old woman muttered a few lines about better not have any slip-ups. Chen Shiyuan said, Mother, rest assured, her heart and eyes are full of me now. She won't suspect a thing. This old servant was afraid of being detected, so I withdrew. I released the account book. A crease had been pressed into it. Understood. I raised my hand and had the maid grab a handful of silver pieces for Nanny-san. Go back and keep watching, but don't let yourself be exposed. Nanny-san acknowledged and left. In that moment, I was filled with gratitude toward Lu Qingyang. If not for her warning, in a couple of years, both my Yi family's fortune and my life would have been taken by that vicious mother and son. But now I know. The maid lifted the curtain and walked in. Madam, old he has returned. Old he had returned. Behind him followed a woman, holding the hand of a 4 or 5-year-old child. The woman wore old clothes washed until they'd turned white, with frayed cuffs and mud spots on her shoes. Her face was sallow, eye sockets sunken, as if she hadn't had a proper night's sleep in ages. Yet she stood straight, eyes fixed steadily on me, without evasion. Madam, old he clasped his fists. I've brought her, Zhou Shi from Huzhou. I looked at her, then at the child whose features were identical to Chen Shiyuan's. Please sit. She didn't sit, only drew the child closer to her side, looking at me warily. Who are you? I lowered my gaze to her hand hanging at her side. The knuckles were thick, skin-chapped, with soapy powder still unwashed from under her fingernails. Actually, on the way here, old he had already told her the basic situation. Otherwise, she wouldn't have come with old he. She asked me, just wanting to verify it once more. I am Chen Shiyuan's fiancé. After getting a definite answer, her face turned ashen. She couldn't believe that this person she had worked so hard to help by washing clothes and supporting his studies had actually betrayed her. The travel expenses for his journey to the capital for the imperial examination were all scraped together by her father selling land. Miss Zhou raised her head, still a trace of hope in her eyes. How do I know you're not lying to me? I took out the letter Chen Shiyuan had written to me from my sleeve. This was written to me by Chen Shiyuan. I pushed the letter over. This is the marriage certificate between him and Miss Wang. After he left your home, he didn't come to Jingguan City to study, but married into the Wang family instead. Miss Wang's entire family is now dead. I pushed over the marriage certificate and letters between Chen Shiyuan and Miss Wang that Lu Qingyang had given me. She took them and looked through them one by one. By the time she reached the last one, her hands were shaking so much she could barely hold those few thin pages. Do you believe it now? The little bit of hope in Miss Zhou's eyes was extinguished. Bean-sized tears fell one by one onto the floor. The maid Xiaokui helped her sit down and took the child outside. I took out a handkerchief from my sleeve and handed it to her. After she took it, she cried even louder. Only then did she fully believe me, opening her heart to tell me the story of her and Chen Shiyuan. Zhou's father was the private school teacher in the village. Chen Shiyuan had married into her family back then under the name of pursuing education. Her father paid for his exam studies while she bore and raised children, managed the household, and served his widowed mother. After he passed the Shukai exam, he said he needed to go to Jingwan City to continue his studies, telling her to wait for him to pass the higher exams and come back to take her and the children to the capital for a better life. She waited 4 or 5 years. Her parents both passed away, but he never came to fetch her. At this point, Joe cried even more miserably. I waited and waited, only to hear the news that he wanted to cast aside his wife and remarry in Jingwan City. She kept wiping her tears with a handkerchief. You're not the most miserable one. Before you, he had another wife. After you, he married into the Wang family, and moreover, he got the entire Wang family killed and seized their property. Now he has set his sights on me, wanting to make me disappear like the Wang family and take over my Yi family's fortune. I also brought out the evidence Wanger had brought back proving that Chen Shiyuan had murdered the Wang family for their wealth. After Zhou finished reading it, her eyes widened in shock, and she even forgot to cry. Beast! She slammed the table hard in anger. I looked at her and asked, "Do you want to make him pay the price?" A few days later, Chen Shiyuan came out of the academy. A woman suddenly rushed up and grabbed him by the collar. "Chen Shiyuan, you heartless bastard! You tricked me into supporting your studies, giving you children, raising them. Yet you're climbing up the social ladder with someone else in Jingwan City." While cursing, she beat him forcefully. It was none other than Zhou Shi. Chen Shiyuan was stunned. How did Zhou Shi, who was far away in their hometown, find her way to Jingwan City? He had no time to think. Passers-by around them all stopped in their tracks, whispering to each other, pointing fingers at him. Among these people were even his classmates. He dared not imagine what would happen if this matter spread tomorrow. What if it reached Yi Mingzu's ears? Chen Shiyuan's face turned the color of pig liver as he coaxed and pleaded to pull Zhou Shi into a secluded tea house. He probed cautiously. "How did you find this place?" He had originally wanted to first trick Zhou Shi into leaving Jingwan City, then figure out what to do next. He never expected that the current Zhou Shi was no longer the gentle and compliant little wife she used to be. Zhou Shi slapped Chen Shiyuan across the face, the rough calluses on her hand scraping several fine bloody marks on his fair face. "You still have the nerve to ask me. I supported your studies, yet you took my money and latched onto some young lady from a wealthy family in Jingwan City. I heard you're getting married, as a member of the groom's family. Shouldn't I come to attend your wedding feast?" Chen Shiyuan couldn't care about his swollen face and collapsed into the chair in shock. How did she know? But he quickly calmed down. Jingwan City was so big, for a peasant woman like her to find him already showed she knew about him. She might not necessarily be able to find Yi Mingzu. As long as she waited until he got married and the rice was cooked, whatever she said then would be useless. Zhou Shi's next sentence extinguished Chen Shiyuan's last glimmer of hope. "The one you've latched onto is Lady Yi, the owner of the largest silk and satin shop in Jingwan City." Chen Shiyuan sprang up from his chair with a whoosh. His face flushed bright red. "How did you know that?" His shocked voice rose by 8 octaves. Zhou Shi sat down and leisurely took a sip of tea. "Don't worry about how I know. If I can find you, I can find her." Chen Shiyuan's expression turned gloomy. He was probably calculating how to make Zhou Shi disappear. Zhou Shi put down her teacup. "I've read a few books too. I'm not an unreasonable person, and I won't stop you from climbing up the social ladder. I'm not here to make you come back with me. Now that you have money, pay back the travel expenses my family lent you for your studies. Also, I've been with you all these years and even bore you a child. You should at least give me an explanation." The next day, Nanny Liu came to visit again. Chen Shiyuan went back and told Mother Shi about Zhou Shi tracking him down. Has Zhou Shi gone crazy from poverty? An ignorant village woman, giving her the opportunity to let her family give you money to study. Sleeping with her for free was already a blessing to her. She actually dares to ask you to repay those 50 taels of silver, and even wants another 20 taels to raise the child. Chen Shiyuan also had a face full of irritation. "I didn't agree to her, did I? I'll stall her for a few days, and if that doesn't work, I'll find a chance to her." He made a throat-slitting gesture at Mother Shi, his eyes full of sinister malice. "I'm just worried that if Yi Mingzhu finds out, it'll be troublesome." Hearing this, a chill ran down my spine. I can't wait any longer. It is time to add more fuel to the fire. I had Xiaokui deliver an invitation to Mother Shi. The silk shop had received new stock. I asked her and Chen Shiyuan to come pick out 2 bolts of fabric to make new clothes for their wedding. At dusk, I was standing behind the counter of the silk shop, watching the clerks display the newly arrived cloud brocade. Chen Shiyuan and his mother arrived. I had people bring out all the newly arrived fine fabrics and spread them across the table in a dazzling display. Oh my, this fabric looks really beautiful. Mother Shi reached out to touch that bolt of gold-woven satin, clicking her tongue in admiration. Only the Yi family's shop could have this quality. Those little cloth shops out there have never even seen anything like this. Chen Shiyuan stood by my side and said gently, "Mother is right. The Yi family's silk shop is the finest in Jingguan City." As he spoke, he pulled out a paper-wrapped package from his sleeve and held it out to me. "I passed by the street corner on my way here and got you a pack of osmanthus cakes, wife. They just came out of the oven, still warm." I looked down at the paper package. Grease had seeped through a small patch. He knew I loved sweets, but he himself felt nauseous just smelling osmanthus. Once I ate osmanthus cake in front of him, his face went pale, but he held back and didn't say a word. After that, I never ate it in front of him again. Now, I took it and smiled. It wasn't a fake smile. I genuinely found him laughable. After dealing with this mother and son for so long, my acting has gotten better and better. I set the osmanthus cake aside and led them to look at the fabrics. Mother Shi touched this bolt, then touched that bolt, praising non-stop. Chen Shiyuan chimed in from the side, gentle and soft, helping me straighten the fabrics from time to time. I let them praise away, crystal clear in my mind about what they were up to. Sure enough, after feeling the fabrics for a long time, Mother Shia finally couldn't hold it in anymore. She pretended to casually lift her head, looked around the shop, and clicked her tongue. "Mingju, this shop is really impressive. How many taels of silver does it bring in a day?" I was gesturing with a bolt of silk and smiled at her words. "Not that much, just barely getting by." Mother Shi leaned closer, lowering her voice. "This location, this front, barely getting by. The Yi family does big business. We'll all be one family from now on. Surely you're not hiding things." I put down the silk and sighed. "Since Madam asks, I won't hide it from you. This silk shop, after a year and deducting expenses, nets about 20 to 30,000 taels." Mother Shi's eyes widened like saucers as she cried out, 20 to 30,000 taels a year?" I nodded. "This is just this one shop. There are 2 more branches in the east of the city, plus that weaving workshop in the north of the city. Adding it all up for a year, there is always 50 to 60,000 taels. Besides, the several shops my father bought in his early years are now all rented out, and the rent also counts as an income." Clutching that bolt of gold brocade, Mother Shi's hands began to tremble with excitement. She and Chen Shiyuan, who appeared to be selecting fabric nearby, but was actually listening intently, quickly exchanged a glance. In that glance, there was shock, wild joy, and something that showed a decision had been made. A few days later, Lady Zhou came to bid me farewell. "Lady Yi, I've already received the silver from Chen Shiyuan. Thank you for giving me advance notice. That is how I managed to save my life." Chen Shiyuan had murderous intentions to avoid giving Lady Zhou the silver. Fortunately, Nanny's son overheard, and I passed the information to Lady Zhou in advance. Only then did Lady Zhou keep her guard up and tell Chen Shiyuan that if she didn't receive the money within 2 days, her fellow townsmen would take the marriage certificate to find me. Only then did Chen Shiyuan reluctantly give the 70 taels of silver to Lady Zhou. "Lady Yi, if there is anywhere you need my help in the future, just say the word." I had old he escort her back after Lady Zhou left. Nanny Liu came again. After sending Lady Zhou away, Chen Shiyuan and his mother were at home dreaming their dreams of becoming rich people. Mother Xia reclined on the soft couch. "My son is really something. The women he finds all throw themselves at him, and he even hooked Yiming's Ju, such a big catch." Chen Shiyuan's face showed a smug expression. "But that Zhou woman got off easy. We got back every penny she scammed from us, plus an extra 20 taels." When Mother Xia mentioned Zhou, she viciously bit into the fruit in her hand as if biting into Zhou's flesh and blood. Thinking of those 70 taels of silver, Chen Shiyuan also showed a pained expression. "Forget it, that is small money after all. She did give me a son. Once I marry Yi Mingzu, what does this bit of money matter?" After paying 20 taels as a deposit for the banquet, and giving Zhou 70 taels of silver, Chen Shiyuan had almost nothing left of the family property he'd seized from Wang. After hearing Nanny Son's account, I couldn't help but laugh. The Xia family's mother and son's dream of getting rich overnight would soon be shattered. I returned to the Yi family ancestral home. The last time I came back was half a year ago. That was when I decided to marry Chen Shiyuan. Both my parents had already passed away, and my uncle, as the clan patriarch, had been looking after me. When Uncle heard I was going to marry some poor scholar of unknown background, he was so angry he smashed his cup on the spot. Yimingzu, if you insist on marrying him, then don't call me uncle anymore. I didn't listen to a word of what Aunt said afterward. Back then, I was bewitched by Chen Shiyuan, and thought Uncle wanted to seize the property my father left behind. Which was why he didn't want me to get married. I ran out of the house crying. Before leaving, she even threw down some harsh words. If you won't acknowledge it, then don't. You're just stopping me from marrying him because you're afraid I'll take away the family fortune my father left behind once I get married. Uncle fainted on the spot from anger. And Aunt didn't get to finish what she was saying before the household descended into complete chaos. This time when I came back, I didn't have the servants notify them in advance, thinking about how I misjudged people and said such hurtful things to them. I stood at the courtyard gate, my heart filled with guilt. I don't know if they'll forgive me. After hesitating for a good while, I finally mustered up the courage to push open the door. As soon as I entered the courtyard, I heard Uncle's voice. Add this set of rosewood screens to Mingzu's dowry list too. She mentioned before that she liked it. I stood in the middle of the courtyard, tears streaming down my face into my neck, a patch of icy coldness, just like my heart that was wounded by Chen Shiyuan. I quickly walked to the main room entrance and pushed open the door. Aunt was organizing the jewelry and hair pieces to give me as part of my dowry. Uncle sat at the desk, adding that set of screens to the dowry list. I ran in and threw my arms around Aunt, crying uncontrollably. I'm sorry. Seeing me like this, Uncle shot up from his chair. What is wrong? Did that punk bully you? I cried in Aunt's arms for a good while before I could calm down. Uncle, Aunt, I'm sorry. I was willful before and hurt your hearts. Aunt took out a handkerchief and wiped the tears from my face. Good child, we're family. How could we blame you? Tell us quickly. What happened? I told them everything about Chen Shiyuan in detail. Uncle and Aunt let out a sigh. Back then, we could tell he was no good. I saw with my own eyes him going to the silk shop looking for Lu Qingyang, pulling and tugging at her. So that is what Aunt was trying to tell me at the time. Uncle finds some people to teach him a lesson. Uncle clenched his fist and slammed it hard on the desk. I quickly shook my head. For someone like Chen Shiyuan, a beating isn't enough. He needs to be lifted up high, then thrown into the mud. That would be proper punishment. Uncle, I've already figured out how to deal with him. I need your help. As the wedding day approached, Chen Shiyuan's mood grew better and better, even though some classmates at the academy were whispering behind his back, saying he was mooching off a woman and climbing up the social ladder. He didn't care at all. He even stopped going to Lu Qingyang to let off steam, completely indulging in the dream of soon becoming master of the Yi household. This day, just after he returned from the academy, Nanny Liu told him that Mother Shi wanted him to come to the tea house. He went up to the private room on the second floor and pushed open the door, only to see me lying on the table, crying so hard my shoulders were shaking. Mother Shi sat to one side, her face looking as ugly as if she'd swallowed a fly. He froze. Mother, Mingzhu, what happened? Before Mother Shi could speak, I raised my head and grabbed his sleeve. Shiyuan! I cried so hard I could barely breathe. What should we do? My uncle called me over today and said that since I'm determined to marry you, the Yi family's silk shop can't be handed over to me anymore. Chen Shiyuan's expression changed. What do you mean? The silk shop is our Yi family's clan property, I sobbed. My father used to manage it after he passed away. My uncle let me manage it because he saw I was capable. He originally said that once I got married and established myself, he would officially transfer the shop to my name. But today he said what? Chen Shiyuan's voice became tense. Said that if I get married, I won't be a Yi family member anymore, and giving the shop to me would be giving it to outsiders. I cried like a tearful mess. He said he wants to take back the silk shop and hand it over to my cousin to manage, and those 2 branch shops in the east of the city, the weaving workshop in the north, and the properties my father left me, all of them, all to be taken back. Chen Shiyuan froze in place. He slowly released my wrist and asked, Didn't you say before that those were all left to you by your father, and no one could take them away? I cried even harder. I thought so too. But my uncle said that my father entrusted him to manage them before he died. The property rights still belong to the clan. They're not mine alone. He said if I insist on marrying you, then I shouldn't expect to take anything with me. Mother She shot up to her feet, her face twisted with anger. How can that uncle of yours do this? Isn't this just bullying people? I cried with my face covered, peeking at Chen Shiyuan through the gaps between my fingers. His face was ashen, and he didn't make a sound for a long while. Mother Xia was still cursing and muttering, but he shot his mother a look and said, "Mother, Mingzhu is feeling bad enough. Don't add fuel to the fire." He sat down beside me, gently patting my back, saying softly, "Stop crying. Things have come to this. Crying won't help. Let's think of another way." I leaned on his shoulder, sobbing intermittently, but inside, I was crystal clear about everything. He didn't blow up and storm off on the spot because he wanted to wait and see. See how much more oil he could squeeze out of me, truly someone with deep cunning. Even at this point, he could still put on that human skin and keep up the act. Early the next morning, Mother She went out. She changed into inconspicuous old clothes, wrapped a blue cloth around her head, looking just like a countrywoman coming to the city to visit relatives. She asked her way to the entrance of the alley where the old Yi family residence was located, poking her head around to peek inside. The old Yi family residence was one of the top grand estates in Jingguan City, taking up half the street. Mother She crouched in the distance by a corner of the wall, pondering how to sneak in when she suddenly heard some commotion inside. She saw Uncle Yi and his wife walk out one after the other, standing at the door as if waiting for someone. Aunt stood beside Uncle, nagging, "Master, are you really this heartless?" Though Mingzhu is a bit willful, she is still someone we watched grow up. At least leave her a shop. We can't just watch the child suffer through hard times. Uncle snorted, his voice so loud half the street could hear. Leave her a share, she insists on marrying out, giving family property to an outsider. Can I, as her uncle, agree to that? The Yi family's business was passed down from our ancestors. Why should it benefit someone with a different surname? Aunt wanted to say more, but Uncle waved his hand dismissively, his face darkening. This matter is not up for discussion. If she'd listen to me and pick one of those young men I chose, men we know well, to marry into our family, I'd give her half the silk shop. But she insists on finding some poor scholar from out of town with unknown background, so she shouldn't expect to take anything. The shops, the weaving workshops, the properties, all go to Mingjun. Now that Mingjun is back, he'll officially take over these businesses. As soon as he finished speaking, a carriage stopped at the door. A young man in a blue robe stepped down from the carriage. It was none other than my cousin who studies at the academy, Shen Mingjun. Uncle patted cousin's shoulder. "Junner, now that you're back, don't return to the academy. Stay and follow your father to take over the Yi family business." Mother She crouched in the corner, hearing every word clearly. She clutched her chest, her expression changing again and again. What that girl cried about yesterday was actually true. That uncle from the Yi family really wants to take back the silk shop. She stood up, patted the dirt off her butt, and hurried back. Mother She had never thought. How could the head of a wealthy family like Uncle shout such private matters at the front gate so loudly that the entire street could hear? I arrived at the house where Mother She and her son lived. Just as I entered the courtyard, I heard Mother She's booming voice. "Son, I saw with my own eyes the Yi family bring that girl's cousin back and have him take over the silk shop. That girl doesn't have a penny left." Mother She continued. "Why would you still marry her? Isn't the widow Liu who runs the silk shop on West Street quite warm to you? Her family fortune is only a little less than the Yi family's. Isn't that better than this poor girl?" I lifted my foot and entered the courtyard. Mother She was sitting right in the center of the main hall with her legs crossed, cracking melon seeds. Shells spat all over the floor. Chen Shiyuan stood by the window, holding a book in his hand, seeing me. Mother She froze for a moment, then spat out a melon seed shell with a pep chewy and rolled her eyes. "Mingzhu, why are you here?" Chen Shiyuan put down his book and walked over. "I'm here to reclaim the house. You have 3 days to move out." Mother She shot up to her feet. "You think you can just take it back? We've lived here for over half a year. This house should be ours by now." Mother She put her hands on her hips. "Once you marry my son, what is yours is ours." I looked at Chen Shiyuan, showing a wronged expression. "This house is a clan asset. It is only because I'm marrying you that the clan wants to take it back. He put down his book, walked over, with a helpless smile on his face. Wife, don't take offense. My mother speaks bluntly. The matter of the house can be discussed. I nodded. Then move out within 3 days. Mother Shi was about to speak again, but was stopped by Chen Shiyuan. He sighed, stepped closer, and said in a lowered voice, Wife, have you heard some gossip? That stuff about Widow Liu is all nonsense spread by others. I have absolutely no other intentions. He looked up at me, his eyes full of sincerity. If I hadn't just heard everything clearly outside the door, I would have almost believed him. Mother Xia couldn't hold back anymore and pushed him away. Stop putting on airs with my son. Let me tell you, this house has been given to us to live in, so it is ours. Want to take it back? No way in hell. Mother Shi was self-righteous. You young ladies from wealthy families just love to act generous. Now that your uncle wants to take back the family property and you've become poor, you want to take back our house? She spat out another melon seed shell with a pop tui, a popper, yet still putting on airs. My son being willing to marry you is your good fortune. Now that you've lost your family property, you still want to marry my son. Dream on. Chen Shiyuan was pulling at his mother from the side. Mother, stop talking. Stop talking about what? I'm going to say it. Mother Shi shook off his hand. I looked at this mother and son before me. One stood with hands on hips cursing in the street, spittle flying. One frowned with disapproval all over his face, yet only tugged gently, as if unable to restrain his unreasonable birth mother. What an act. I turned and walked out. Chen Shiyuan chased after me a few steps. Mingzhu, that is just how my mother is. Don't take it to heart. Without looking back, I walked to the courtyard gate, stopped, turned my head, and smiled at him. Oh right, in 3 days someone from the clan will come to take back this house. If you don't move out by then, the clan will flatten the place with you all still in it. Mother Shi froze. Chen Shiyuan's anxiety also stiffened on his face. Mother Shi completely exploded, rushing over to grab my arm. You vicious woman, how dare you? I am screaming. Mingzhu didn't just break up with him, she evicted him from her own house while pretending to be a helpless victim of family politics. She played the poor little rich girl who lost her inheritance card so perfectly that these greedy leeches showed their true colors immediately. The panic on their faces when they realized the free ride was over, absolutely priceless. I dodged to the side, and she lunged at empty air. Having said that, I turned and left the courtyard. Behind me was Mother Shi's cursing. Serves you right to be driven out of your family. And Chen Shiyuan's voice, neither loud nor soft, just loud enough for me to hear. Mother, don't be like this. Mingzhu, wait. After chasing the carriage, Chen Shiyuan's expression was so dark it could wring out water. Watching the carriage disappear around the street corner, he turned and headed to the Liu family silk shop. The Liu family silk shop has always been the sworn enemy of our Yi family silk shop. Although the business isn't as big as the Yi families, it is still more prosperous than ordinary merchant families. Lady Liu is 30 years old this year, has a son, and lost her husband 2 years ago. Everyone says she is unscrupulous, always using despicable means for business competition, which is why she got her comeuppance and became a widow so early. Seeing Chen Shiyuan arrive, Lady lifted her head from the account book. Oh my young Master Chen, what brings you to my place? Chen Shiyuan bit his teeth. What you said last time, does it still count? Lady Liu patted the dust off her hands and walked over leisurely. What words, marrying into your family? Chen Shiyuan lowered his eyes. Lady Liu laughed. She reached out and pinched Chen Shiyuan's chin, examining him like inspecting goods, then nodded. Sure, but there is a condition. Tell me. That girl from the Yi family, didn't she kick you to the curb? Lady Liu withdrew her hand. I'll help you get even. You invite her out for a meal and humiliate her good and proper. I've got a packet of medicine here. A laxative won't kill her. Just make her embarrass herself in public. You slip it into her wine. Once this is done, the Liu family's assets will all be yours in the future. Chen Shiyuan took the packet of medicine and clutched it in his palm. Fine, inviting moon tower. Private room on the second floor. Chen Shiyuan had already arrived. He had changed into a newly made blue silk robe, his hair combed without a strand out of place. Seeing me enter, he stood up to greet me, his face wearing a warm smile. "Lady Yi has arrived. Please have a seat." I sat down across from him. He picked up his own cup, looking at me with a gentle gaze. "My mother said some things she shouldn't have yesterday. This cup of wine is my apology to you." I didn't move. He sighed and pushed the wine cup forward. "Having known each other, I can't bear to see you fall out with your family elders because of me. Drink this cup of wine, and from now on, we'll each go our separate ways in marriage, and be well." After he finished speaking, he glanced at me from the corner of his eye, picked up his own cup, and drained it in one gulp. I heard footsteps on the stairs outside, knowing people were already in position. "All right." I picked up the wine cup, brought it to my lips, and covered it with my sleeve. This scene gave me goosebumps. He thinks he is poisoning her with a laxative to humiliate her. But joke's on him, she is dumping the wine into her sleeve while the police are literally waiting outside the door. The audacity of this man to toast to going separate ways while actively trying to drug her is peak villain behavior. But watching him chug his own victory wine right before getting arrested, sweet, sweet karma. The wine flowed through the gaps between my fingers, all of it pouring into the handkerchief hidden in my sleeve. Chen Shiyuan's eyes lit up. He stared at the empty cup, the corners of his mouth lifting bit by bit, rising higher and higher, until he finally laughed out loud. "Yimingzhu!" He leaned back into his chair, switching to a different tone. "Remember this. It was I who despised your poverty and kicked you aside, not you who dumped me." I said nothing, only looked at him. He stood up, walked halfway around the table, and stopped beside me, looking down at me from above. "Do you know what I just had you drink?" He bent down, leaned close to my ear, and spoke word by word. "Laxative." My expression remained unchanged. He stepped back 2 paces and burst out laughing, his shoulders shaking with laughter. Mother Xia appeared out of nowhere, standing beside him with her hands on her hips, looking smug all over her face. "How about that, scared now, aren't you?" Mother Xi spat. "My son has a backer now." Widow Liu said that as long as you're humiliated today, all her family's property will go to my son. "You poor little girl, you still think you can fight with my son?" Chen Shiyuan stopped laughing, stood with his hands behind his back, his face full of smugness and satisfaction. "Yimingzhu, I've put up with you for a long time," he said slowly. "Who do you think you are, the young master of the Yi family? You're just an orphan girl whose father died, relying on a bit of stinking money to order me around. Drink this soup today. Eat that dish tomorrow, picky and fussy, pretentious as hell." He stepped closer and looked down at me. "Do you know what I was thinking every time I made soup for you? I was thinking, when can I trample you under my feet and let you taste what it is like to read people's faces?" Mother Xi chimed in from the side. "Exactly, my son has served you for so long. When have you ever not acted all high and mighty? Now Widow Liu is the one who truly treats him well, promising him her family property without a second word. And you want to take back even a small broken house." I watched this mother and son singing in harmony, their faces full of arrogance. Noble Lady Yi, in a moment when your stomach hurts and you're rolling on the ground in a wretched state. I'll definitely open the door of the private room and let everyone see. He straightened up, smoothed his robe, a smile hanging at the corner of his mouth. "How about it? Do you already feel your stomach hurting?" The door was pushed open with a bang. 2 bailiffs walked in, with old He following behind them. The leading bailiff clasped his fists. Lady Yi turned around and stood up straight. "Young Master Chen, we heard your words just now loud and clear outside the door." The smile on Chen Shiyuan's face froze. "Poisoning and attempting to harm Lady Yi, both witnesses and evidence are present." The bailiff waved his hand. "Seize him!" Mother Xi screamed and lunged forward to block them, but was pressed to the ground by one of the bailiffs. Chen Shiyuan's face turned deathly pale as he retreated repeatedly. No, I was just joking, old." He stepped forward, picked up the wine pot and cup from the table, shook them, and handed them to the bailiff. I also handed the handkerchief from my sleeve to the bailiff. "Just take these things back and test them, then we'll know." Chen Shiyuan completely went limp. I stood up, walked in front of him, and looked down at him. He looked up, his lips trembling. Mingzhu, I was wrong. I was tricked by Widow Liu. I smiled. Chen Shiyuan, you just said you wanted to watch me roll around on the ground. I squatted down to meet his eyes at the same level. Too bad, the one who is going to roll is you. Chen Shiyuan was taken into custody. The evidence brought back was examined and found that he had put arsenic in the wine. The murder evidence was irrefutable. Chen Shiyuan knelt in the court, his face ashen. A full 3 qian of arsenic, enough to poison 3 oxen stone dead. The prefect was about to pass judgment when a commotion arose outside the hall. Wang Er led in a young man who burst in, fell to his knees with a thud, and raised a petition high. This commoner, cousin of the Wang family, accuses Chen Shiyuan and his mother of murder for money. The deaths of my cousin, uncle, and aunt were all caused by this villain. Wang's cousin presented all the evidence I had previously collected. Mother Shi collapsed on the spot, still shouting, "Injustice," until a bailiff slapped her silent. Both cases were tried together, with both witness and physical evidence complete. The prefect slammed the gavel. Chen Shiyuan murdered for money, deceived in marriage, and killed his wife. His crimes are unforgivable. Sentenced to immediate execution by beheading, to be carried out after autumn. Mother Shia sheltered and enabled him, aiding the tyrant sentenced to death by strangulation pending review, to be executed after autumn. Liu Sanyang knelt to the side and had just breathed a sigh of relief when the prefect continued. Liu, under the pretense of laxatives, committed murder by poison, killing by borrowed knife with sinister intent. Exiled 3,000 Li family property confiscated, depart immediately. She shrieked in protest, dragged out by the bailiffs. When the news reached the silk shop, I was examining the newly arrived cloud brocade. Liu Qingyang was working the abacus beside me, not even lifting her head. I heard Chen Shiyuan cries injustice in prison every day, saying he was tricked by Liu Sanyang. Liu Qingyang is now the manager of my silk shop. Qingyang, let's make a trip to the prison and see them off one last time. The autumn prison, damp and cold. I stood outside the cell door, wearing a gold-threaded satin rue skirt, the red gold bayao shimmering in the dim light. Liu Qingyang followed at my side, in a blue silk bizi, the jade bracelet on her wrist of excellent quality. Chen Shiyuan huddled in the corner, prison clothes filthy, hair disheveled. Where was the refined gentleman of days past? He lifted his head, his whole body frozen. His gaze moved from me to Liu Qingyang, then from Liu Qingyang back to me. His throat made rattling sounds, as if someone was strangling his neck. You weren't driven out of the Yi family?" I smiled. Mother Shi crawled over from the corner, clutching the cell door, eyes nearly bulging out. "Impossible! I saw it with my own eyes." "Saw what?" I asked back with a mocking expression. "Saw my cousin return, and my uncle was going to give him all the business." She froze. Chen Shiyuan's face turned the color of pig liver, finally coming to his senses, and suddenly lunged forward to grab the wooden railing. "You tricked me. You've been acting this whole time? I was always sincere with you, but unfortunately I overheard you and your mother planning to send me to the estate to recuperate." His gaze fell on Liu Qingyang, suddenly understanding something. He pointed at her, his finger trembling violently. "It is you, you woman." Chen Shiyuan kicked at the cell door like a madman. "I've been supporting you all this time, and you helped outsiders to harm me." Liu Qingyang tilted her head. "Chen Langyun supporting me, more like you forced me to support you and your mother." "Bah!" Liu Qingyang spat at him. Mother Shi shrieked. "You two women schemed together to deceive us." I stepped forward and looked down at her through the wooden railing. "Done cursing. Save some strength to collect your son's corpse." Chen Shiyuan dropped to his knees with a thud, reaching out to grab the hem of my skirt. "Mingzhu, I was wrong. For the sake of our acquaintance." I stepped back, and his fingers grazed my hem before falling empty. Liu Qingyang stepped forward and gently brushed off the non-existent dust from my skirt. Chen Shiyuan stared at that hand wearing the jade bracelet, his whole body seeming to have its spine pulled out. Mother Shi suddenly lunged over and slapped him across the face. "This is all your fault, saying some nonsense about how daughters from wealthy families are hard to control, and that you'd kill her after the wedding." Chen Shiyuan backhanded her with a slap. "Wasn't it you who complained every day that she always acts so high and mighty looking down on you?" Mother and son wrestled together, curses and cries mingling into chaos. I turned around and walked out. Behind me came Chen Shiyuan's hoarse scream. "Ye Mingzhu, may you die a horrible death." A month later, Chen Xiuan was executed. I heard that day the onlookers blocked half the street, all there to see the villain who married into the family and killed his wife. He knelt on the execution ground, ashen-faced, without leaving even a last word. Old Lady Xia died in prison 2 days earlier, reportedly from smashing her head against the wall. The jailer said that even before dying she was still cursing her son for being useless, cursing me for being vicious, cursing heaven for being unfair. Liu Sanyang caught an epidemic during her exile and didn't make it 3,000 li away. When the news came, I was at the silk shop looking at newly arrived goods. Madame Liu was working the abacus beside me. With the clack-clack sounds, she said without lifting her head, "It is all over." I smiled slightly and didn't respond. Outside the silk shop, the clamor of the marketplace came in waves. The candied hawthorn vendors' calls, children's laughter and play, the storyteller's wooden block striking from the tea house next door. Today we tell a new story about Lady Yi of the Yi family in Jingwan City, who outwitted her evil son-in-law. Madame Liu pricked up her ears to listen, then turned to look at me, her eyes crinkling with a smile. I waved my hand and lowered my head to flip through the account book. The story belongs to others. The days are my own. The embroidery thread flower outside the window was blooming beautifully, orange, yellow, and bright, like a cluster of sunlight resting there. Oh, my gorgeous friends, let's take a moment to appreciate the absolute brilliance of Mingju. In so many stories, the wealthy heiress is just a stepping stone for some ambitious man, but Mingzu said, "Not today, Satan." She didn't just save herself. She got justice for every woman Chen Xiuan had used and discarded. She took the power back, protected her family's legacy, and walked away with her head held high while the storyteller next door turned her life into a legend. This story is a reminder to all of us. If a man seems too perfect, check his references. And if he turns out to be a villain, don't just leave him. Make sure he regrets the day he ever tried to play you. Now, I need to hear from you down in the comments. The investigation, would you have believed the embroiderer's story right away? Or would you have needed more proof like Mingzu did? The revenge, was getting him arrested for attempted poisoning the best move? Or should she have let the angry ex-wife handle him? The lesson. What is the biggest red flag you missed in a relationship that you wish you'd seen sooner? Let's spill the tea. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss our tea times. Remember, ladies, you are the main character of your own story, and no man is worth your peace or your silk shop. Love you all. See you next time.